Ha. You like them apples?
Everything is working as it
Yeah.
should.
All right. So it looks like we're live, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Curmudgeon's Corner 15. We have a pretty all-star lineup tonight. Looks like people are starting to pour in. We got Hawaii Tim and Mark Cat Guy. Tim from Shine Your Light Detailing. Keith Firebird, first from Puerto Rico. All of the fan favorites are in the house this morning. That's fantastic. Or evening, whatever. It could be morning somewhere. Rich Smith is in the house. So we give a few minutes before we really get into the meat and potatoes. A few minutes for everybody to kind of roll in. But joining us tonight are two of the powerhouses. The teamwork makes the dream work, fellas from Apex Auto Detailing, aka Apex Surface Protection. Brian Mayall and Brian Jr. Appreciate you both taking a couple of minutes out of your Saturday night to hang out with the old curmudgeon.
Oh, it's no problem at all. It's gonna be awesome.
I
Definitely.
have a good time. I think the record is with Papa Smurf. It was our first one that I ever did. I think it was 4 hours and 30 minutes, and then we had another one with my brother that was like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Obviously, I don't want to suck up that much of your time, but it's a free form kind of Q&A, and we take questions from the audience, and we just kind of have fun. Hopefully, you guys have brought your apple juice. Those of you that are allowed to have apple juice, and make it 4 hours.
No, I got some aqua instead. I did say that was going to be drinking, but nah.
I noticed that after about 20 minutes, my interviews start to feel a little bit better because the apple juice starts to kick in. But, so, anyway, what's everybody up to on a Saturday night?
Not much. Just got back from a nice dinner, and a drive as well. Didn't really do too much. It was more of like a chilled, laid back Saturday.
Did you guys work at all?
A little bit. We just
didn't.
got some cars, moved stuff around. We had another Porsche come in and Corvette, so we had to make sure that everything was arranged and
Sure.
everything's inside. So it's all
Yeah, you
protected.
guys do a heck of a job maneuvering that stuff around because you have a small shop, but you guys put out some pretty incredible work. Papa Smurf's in the house. Dandy Crane's in the house. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming out. Rick Smith, we say hello again. Hope everybody's doing well. Appreciate you guys, everybody in the chat, taking some time out of their busy schedules to come out and hang out with the curmudgeon, and hang out with our two friends from Apex. So I guess without really, we could just dive on in, having this conversation. So the first and foremost, I'm going to ask Mayall. What I see that you've always had like this desire and hobby car enthusiasm. What got you into wanting to be a detailer?
Well, when I was in high school, I always wanted to do something automotive, whether it be mechanics or really anything that had to do with the four wheels and a motor. I wanted to be a part of it. And I mean, after a while working on cars, it's kind of frustrating, and as anybody would know. But I started working at a car shop or a car wash place locally, and I kind of wanted to get more into like the detailing aspect of it, and that's how I started working at Apex.
How did you get connected to Apex?
Well, I was Googling detail shops near me, and Apex was the first one that popped up. And there were a few other ones that I had called also, but Brian was the first one that returned my call and asked me to stop in, and the rest is history.
Wow. And that was like right after graduation, 21, like June, July 21.
I think officially it was April of 21, so it was before I graduated. I was only working 3 days a week for 2 hours after school, and then I graduated, and Brian offered me a full-time position, and I just stuck with it.
Sweet. What about you, sir? I mean,
Uh,
I'm sure you kind of got dragged into it, but did you always have a thing for cars?
no, actually, I didn't care at all about cars at that point in time. I didn't know the difference between like a Nissan and a Chevy. Well, I mean, like I knew there was a difference, but like I just didn't care. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I was dragged into it. But I know that I didn't really have much of an interest at first. As we started, we started on it was like an empty bay of my uncle's garage, and we really didn't even have our own place at first. So yeah, it was very humble beginnings for sure, and we started doing like interiors most of the time, like 80% of the time, and I was usually the one. I was a muscle, and he was more of just like dealing with the customers and everything. And
How long ago was that?
that was, oh man, 2014 I think was when we started.
Okay, so
2014.
were you with him at the old shop with where the
Yeah, I was
okay.
there from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Part time. I was still going to high school. Was it 11th or 12th grade? 2014. Actually, no, that was like in ninth. That was the beginning of high school. So yeah, I was part time. I would work there for maybe like 2-3 hours after school. Not so much uh, time invested in that, but whenever I had free time, I would borrow. Or I would give it to him and help him out with interiors and the more harsher jobs. But as the years went on, we moved from that little bay to Kelchner's, which was in Rabazonia, and yeah, we finally got our own space. We were able to fit like 2 or 3 cars at a time. It wasn't our own space; we shared it, but it was significantly bigger than what we had before. And that's when we started to get into like ceramic coatings and just like ceramic toppers and ceramic sprays and stuff like that. We worried a little bit more. We focused more on the paint than the interiors, but of course we did both. And yeah, then we just started to specialize in paint and ceramics, and then we moved into Warnersville.
Well,
Then
you were
have
doing ceramics before you moved to Warnersville?
Yeah, we got into it. We weren't really heavy into the
Okay, I
ceramics.
mean
We were
that's
kind
I
of like,
mean relatively speaking, it's a pretty new concept. If I
yeah,
remember, it's like within the last like 8 years or so, isn't it? It's really been kind of catching
yeah,
on, I would say.
I believe so. It was never really like the ceramics weren't really huge at that point in time. It wasn't very well known.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it started to become a lot more known, understood, and widely used
Okay.
within the.
Mayhall, you on your on your Facebook page, it says from a hobby to a career. When did you know? Like, I know you said you looked up detailers in your area or closest to you. When did you know that like detailing was something that you wanted to do
I'd
more
say
so than you
COVID.
said mechanics? Or I know you said you always wanted something to do with a car, but when did it like really dawn on you that detailing was kind of like
When COVID hit and everybody was in the lockdown, the easiest thing for me to get my hands on were detailing products. I mean, you can go to any store and make anything work that you can get from Walmart or AutoZone. And I started doing that during the lockdown just to my own car to practice on and stuff. And then some of my friends who were also into cars had asked me to, detail their cars. And it was very basic. It was just a wash with it already had an additive wax in it, and then for an interior, I would just use like Armor All or something like that. But it was very at that time I was just doing a very in deep vacuum and a wipe down
right?
and just very basic things. But I think
Okay.
in that time period, that's what really had me fixated on being a detailer.
So, what's your favorite part of of detailing?
I would say, I mean, the finished product is
Sure.
definitely like my favorite, and especially seeing the customer react to their final product of their car. It's definitely, it brings a lot of gratitude, dopamine.
What about you, Junior?
Yeah, I would say that like it's the same when you are first off, like, correcting a car. I personally like the correction aspect of it and ceramic coating, just because it's something that isn't like totally brain numbing, but it's something like it's very therapeutic in a way, like in just like flow, and it just comes naturally. Like it's not something that I have to think about too much. You still have to be present, of course, and mindful of what you're doing, but it's I don't know, like it's my piece. I
Right.
get to just dive into polishing the vehicle that I'm doing, and also like seeing all of the really cool vehicles that we get into, that we probably wouldn't see, other than seeing them, at like car shows and stuff like that. Seeing all these really cool vehicles and be able to work on them, and then see the final product, and then see like the reaction of the customers that own these vehicles. It's priceless. It is really cool. I love it.
And then what would you say would be your least favorite? What's the worst part of detailing?
Interiors. Just doing interiors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be universal across the board. I think there's only one person that I know of that's just like, oh, I like to do I like interiors. Me. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. Honestly, like I enjoy doing interiors. Like I'm a little OCD about it, but there comes a time where you're just, especially when you're dealing with hair. uh get that, we have like a stone with some pores that are in it, and it's like the best tool ever. You wouldn't really expect it to be better than a brush, but it gets like 80 to 90% of the hair out within like 2 strokes. But when you're dealing with hair and sand, y- you're working hours upon hours in one little area, and it's so time consuming and
I don't think I've
draining.
ever seen you guys with a tornado. Do you have a tornador in your shop?
What's that?
Yeah.
What's the tornador?
I don't think
It's
so.
that machine it's got like a funnel with a whisk in the inside of it, and
Uh,
it spews
yeah, we have.
chemical while it beats the balls off of carpet and stuff like that. I mean, it basically, especially when it comes to sand, New Jersey's got crazy, stupid, sandy soil, and everybody around here swears by the tornador to get that stuff up and out of there.
We do have one of those, but I mean, at this point, we're kind of far from doing interiors.
Yeah.
Like doing the ceramic coatings and the PPF has really eliminated that. I mean, we still do like a courtesy vac and a wipe down, but we don't get a whole lot of in-depth, full shampoo, steaming interiors.
Yeah,
What would
we're
you
we're
say? What would you say is the hardest job that you've ever done?
oh man, that's tough.
Not counting your personal car, because I was cyber stalking you, and it looked like you had a lot of work to do on your vehicle. But outside of your own personal stuff, what was the hardest job you ever had to do?
I think we had a sprinter. We did a sprinter, and I think just doing those in general, they are such a pain in the ass. And but at the same time, when you're done with it, it is so, you look at it, you're just like, holy hell, I did all of that. But it does take up a lot of space. You're doing it for a long period of time, and it's a lot of labor. You basically have to use a ladder to get up to, the roof, and to get every single inch. So much ground to cover. So I would say, like, yeah, anytime that we're doing a motorhome or a sprinter, that not so it's very difficult. But yeah, I
I
think,
could tell by the look Mayall had on his face as soon as you said it. He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that."
yep, yep, bringing
Yeah, I
it
kind of
back.
forgot about that one. It was oxidized so bad that it originally it was black, but it almost looked white. That's how messed up the paint was on that thing.
Yeah, no gloss whatsoever. But like I will tell you, once we got done with that thing, Yeah, there was a shine to it. There was definitely a shine to it. And we ceramic coated it afterwards, so boost the gloss and gave it some hydrophobic properties too. So yeah, I mean, I think the final product it was worth it. Would I want to do it again? That's a question. I don't know.
All right, so I got one last question before we get into like the meat and potatoes of our interview. You know, because right now these are all like basic general detailing conversations that pretty much everybody in the chat room can identify with and understand. So the last question, Papa Smurf brought it up a little bit ago. I had already written it down, Smurf, so thank you for allowing me to do my job. What is the most expensive car that you guys have worked on in your shop?
I believe.
I think it's the Overfinch.
Yeah, we had a Overfinch, which is basically like a very special edition. I wouldn't say custom built, but it's built a certain way. I'm trying to think of like a similar
Brabus,
yeah,
Maybach.
Brabus, I think. Yeah. Maybach, however you pronounce it. They're kind of the same thing, but they basically add like custom touches to the vehicle, and it adds a lot more value onto the car and makes it stand out a bit more. But it had like custom stitching, and some trim here and there, carbon fiber, true carbon fiber.
A lot of carbon fiber.
Yeah, and a lot of that was done like at the shop or factory there. It's not like done by the owner or anything like that. It's very precise work done. So we got that in, and yeah, it was definitely the most expensive, one of the most expensive vehicles that we had in there. We had our fair share of 911s, and not just like the basic ones, but also like the uh, I think we had a GT once. I don't think we had a GT3, but we had like a bunch of C8s, stuff like that. But all of those are pretty expensive.
So the next would be the two-part question is, so what's the favorite car that you've detailed in your shop? Like out of all the cars that you've done, which one's your favorite? And then if you had a dream car to work on, which car would be your dream car?
My favorite job so far, and it was pretty recent. So if you've seen our posts about it, I think it's a 23 Lexus LC 500. Did a full body stealth wrap on it, and I think just the experience with that and seeing, I mean, I like the paint as like in its gloss form, and then putting the matte film on top of that, I think it just made it look so much better because you could see the metal flakes with it and everything. And I had a lot of fun doing that because it was mostly custom work, so I really enjoyed doing that.
Junior?
Teslas. Doing Teslas because they're super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's not really much to them. They're very simple design, and the architecture, like, it's just all very simple design, and you don't really have to worry about, dealing with a bunch of intricate details and stuff. So they're my favorite vehicles to PPF, specifically, and the ceramic coat as well. But I guess not to correct, because the clear on those things is absolutely paper thin. So, but as for like a dream car, I would say, well, one of them we actually did do. It was a C2. We did detail a C2, and I absolutely love those things. I'm not really big on vintage cars, and especially when it comes to like correcting and stuff, because they're slightly different, and different material, and you don't know exactly what you're dealing with clear. Sometimes you're dealing with some areas that are repainted and whatnot. It can be a wild card, but it all depends on the state of the vehicle. But just I just love those vehicles, and detailing it is just being able to put my hands on it. Like, oh man, it's just I wish I could own one of those. at some point. But if it's not a C2 vehicle that we haven't detailed yet, would love to get my hands on, get a ceramic coating or PPF on, would probably be like a Lamborghini Aventador or something like that. Very difficult vehicles to work on because of all the intricate details. But I think those are gorgeous cars, and of course they need that PPF specifically for it's a Lamborghini, and only that. But I'm sure the Aventadors are going on the track. Maybe, who knows? Probably not, but I'd love to do one of those.
What about you, Mayall?
Well, I very much enjoy my 90s JDM cars, so pretty much anything from that era, whether it be Skyline, RX-7s, Supras, or I mean, honestly, even European cars, but mainly the Japanese cars. I think one of those very prestigious vehicles would be amazing to be in the presence of.
Sure. You remember how I told you guys that I was going to get a Titan?
Yes. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Guess what I just read 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago?
What?
2024 is the last year Nissan's making the Titan.
Oh, of course.
You better get on it.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the most expensive in its class, and blah 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 blah. And so they're discontinuing after 2024. I remember I woke up my wife and I was like, "You want to hear the most horrible news I've ever heard?" And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "They're discontinuing the Titan." You woke me up for that? Really?
It is important. It is.
Oh, I can't believe it. I'm crushed. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get into the weeds of being Apex.
For sure.
Is it intimidating working for Brian? Being what Brian is, I mean, we have a guy in our chat room right now that flew all the way from Hawaii just to meet him. Do you ever what is it like working for that guy?
Oh man, it's tough. He's just cracking the whip. We're absolutely we're slaves. We need help right now. Yeah. Yep. He is. No, honestly, he's an amazing boss, and of course, he's my dad. So I'm not just saying that. Brian Mayall can also agree with me, but he treats us very fairly, and not only that, but he's very hard on us. He wants to see what comes out of the shop to be as perfect as possible. We are basically the extensions of him. If he can't get his hands on a vehicle, he expects us to do the work that he would basically do. Expectations are high, obviously, so we have to produce a very a perfect or close to perfect final product. But he's very fair, and he's awesome to work with, which is why I've been working with him for so long.
Well, Mayall, you said that you got basically April of 21. Obviously, he's been making videos and making content and a fan favorite long before then. Did you know about him at all before you made that phone call, or did you kind of learn about it after the fact? Or
I did not know that he had a YouTube channel when I first started working there. It was 2 days after I'd worked my first shift. One of my friends in school was telling me about his YouTube channel and all of how highly ranked he was among this community. And then I got kind of intimidated, but yeah, it was a lot at first.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure. You ever have customers that are unwilling to let you two work on it? They're like, I drove my car all the way from Chicago and I only want Brian Sr. to work on my car.
It's not really the customers not wanting us to work on the car. It's just not being able to talk to them because they come to the shop and they just want to talk to Brian.
Right.
Yeah. It's at first, and then once they get to meet us, because they know the face of Apex is him. They see him on the videos and stuff like that. So that's the only person that they really know most of the time. But once they get to meet us and we get to talk about what they envision their car to look like, and we basically just talk about what it needs to get there. It's it doesn't matter what brine you get. Honestly, you're just getting the same quality and all of that. Just different person.
That's only because we all know that Brian Senior doesn't do anything anymore. He just does camera work.
Oh
I
yeah.
see how hard you guys work every day.
Oh yeah. And I told you we're slaves. Just say.
Slaves
Nah.
that eat very, very well, I
Oh,
might
yeah.
add.
Oh yeah.
At
Yeah,
least
On
lunch.
Fridays.
What's
Yeah, I
that?
was about to say
On
lunch
Fridays.
On
on
Fridays.
Fridays.
That's true, on Friday.
God tier.
So real quick, going back, what is you mentioned a stealth wrap. What is a stealth wrap?
It's like it's still a clear PPS film, but it's not glossy. It has a satin finish to it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not a color change at all. It's just changes the gloss.
Rick Smith wants to know what is Brian's biggest pet peeve that you absolutely cannot do? I'm not quite sure what that phrasing means, but let's start with what's his biggest pet peeve?
Imperfection in general, honestly. If you're talking about if there's like a high spot or something like that on a coating, or if there's contamination, which thankfully we're really really good on picking up at this point. So we've been doing it for so long, but I remember that back in the day when we first started, he was any imperfection whatsoever, it needs to come out perfect. He has a vision and it needs to be met, like that expectation. So honestly, it's just imperfection in general. You got to be a professionalist.
So, I mean, do you appreciate that about him? Like, I mean, obviously, it's clearly it's got to have stepped up your game a lot. As far as your skills are have developed. Mayall, I would imagine for you, like you've gotten quite the education. I know every time that I come up and hang out with you guys, even if I'm just standing around, I just the things that I learned from both of you guys, things that I've learned from him. Your Senior and I have been, showcasing a lot of the products. He's been helping me showcase my products and film and edit and all that stuff. And even in that process, I'm constantly learning stuff from him. Obviously, detailing isn't my bread and butter. But we were making that film. We were filming the soap, and I was goofing off, and he was just like, "Don't do that. They will lambaste you on the video. In the comment section, they will destroy you. So let's just start over, and don't do it like that again."
Yeah.
Have you experienced, that level of I guess tutoring, for lack of a better word, education?
When it came to me first starting doing paint correction, there were definitely moments where he's probably stopped me in the middle of a panel to correct me. But there's nothing super there's not one single moment that really stood out.
Did he ever give you like a detailing 101, kind of like when you first started? Like, I'm sure at some point, like, he had to watch you, and then at some point he turned you loose after you showed a certain level of ability and skill, or were you just always Roy Hobbs the natural and just knocked the ball out of the park every time you picked up a wheel?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a natural, but I do think that I picked up a lot of the skills that I have today pretty quickly.
Okay.
I feel like there were definitely, there was a while there where he'd kind of want to be looking over my shoulder, but then I think it just got to a point shortly after I had first started doing most duties in the shop that I think he just kind of stopped having to worry about it.
What about you, Junior? Being that your father's son and that dynamic is different, like, do you feel like maybe he was harder on you, than you know some of the other rookies that have come through?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I said, his expectations are insanely high, and rightfully so. Because if you're in this business, you have to make sure that your final product is near perfect, if not perfect. And um, he wants me to have that same kind of expectation for my own work, and everything that I do. So, uh, when it came to practicing skills and making sure that my quality was up to par, you know, he would crack that whip, and he will not spare a moment to correct it, and
Sure.
yeah, it's been a hell of a journey, but yeah, I learned a lot. He's definitely the master when it comes to this stuff, and I'm glad that I was in the position that I was in, and currently am in.
Kelly wants to know who washes the towels.
Brian.
Senior?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
How about that?
We don't
How
have
about that?
machines at the shop, so he has to take them home.
Oh, okay. That's true. It's true. Your space is extremely limited. That makes sense.
yeah.
Um,
And we can't really spare much time, you know, going from the shop over to the house to wash him. So he's basically the only one that has that time. But yeah, it's his excuse to leave the shop and
sure. Well, how many hours would you say you guys work on in a given week? Like you guys are from what it looks like. I mean, it's pretty steady. You guys are booked out months at a time.
I would say in this past pay period, I probably have close to 110 hours. So that's over the span of 2 weeks. It's a
Wow.
lot of time.
Yeah. Well, you're right. So, like, again, going into like the weeds of it. I used to the old company that I used to work for. I got to hang out with a really cool guy named Ray. He was the general manager, and he was definitely um, grassroots type of. He was a detailer first, and then got the job. And he'd always said that the life of a detailer in one particular spot, somebody who doesn't own the detail business. Um, the life of a detailer is about 2 years, basically. And I remember your father saying to me that was one of his biggest problems and his biggest issues before Mayall came along, was that you'd spend so much time and effort training somebody and teaching them only for them to basically uproot and go somewhere else, like or start their own business or their own company. And I can do it better and I don't need you. Um, and so he said, so basically every 2 years, the employee, the detailer employee would just kind of move on. Um, Obviously, with you guys, it seems to be much more permanent. It definitely feels much more um, almost family oriented. How exactly would you say? I think Brian has I mean, on the behind the scenes. Brian has told me a lot of things that he's done to kind of get you guys to be engaged in the business. Um, can you shed some light on that? Like, how could the audience? How could they keep their employees kind of engaged the way you guys are engaged, and putting out the level that you guys are putting out day in and day out, 110 hours in 2 weeks, like that requires a commitment from an employee. So how do you what for lack of a better word, how do you um, get that from guys like you?
it's tough to have that connection with. I think that's what it comes down to, is connection with your boss, and to have like that. It doesn't necessarily have to feel like family, but if you do have that, that bond with your boss, it definitely can help a lot. I know that, like, sometimes there's instances where like employees will get like too comfortable because of that.
Sure.
And it always depends on the employee, but yeah, some really thrive off of that, connection, and you have that like level of trust. And if you have that level of trust, well, then you can expect a lot more that comes out of their work.
Right.
So I think it's like a lot of trust, being hard on your employees, of course, but knowing and trusting that they can rise up to the occasion and you know meet your expectations. But it is difficult to find employees like that, especially today. And
100%.
yeah,
100%. I think finding, like Dan just said, I hired a kid who started side work day one. That didn't last. So, yeah, I think that it is tough to find that level of commitment. And I think it might be easier, especially knowing, Brian and the empire that he's building. Not necessarily dangling the carrot, but basically the idea of being part of something bigger than just a day-to-day job goes a long way. And I think that that is something that he has expressed to both of you guys, that there is an empire to be built, and that you guys are definitely part of that, that build at some point. I would imagine, um, that old man, he's going to want to retire and move to Florida or do whatever it is, and you guys are going to have to inherit the kingdom. So I would think that that would help engage me, knowing that I'm going to inherit the kingdom, right?
yeah, definitely
And
passing
is
the
that,
torch.
is that something that, I mean, have you guys thought about that? Is that part of your 5, 10, 15-year plan?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like it's inevitable too. I'm sure that, my dad's gonna want to be in the game for as long as possible because he enjoys it so much. It's his passion. But at the same time, like he also wants to take a step back and enjoy, the other things in his life.
Sure.
And we're definitely getting to a point where, we're ready for that transition. And it is a tough transition because now you have to basically, fill those shoes and those expectations that he has and all of that. But you know definitely aware of that, and yeah, it's definitely within the next couple of years for sure.
Page 2.
Wow, we're that far in, huh?
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, we've been going about a half an hour. Whew, we better slow this puppy way down. I think this is going to be a lot more. This is going to be, I think, a little bit fun, or I should say, more fun now that we've gotten through all the business stuff. Let's get to know you two guys
Sweet.
a little bit more. The behind the scenes of Apex Surface Protection. Um, Speaking of service protection, so you and I had a conversation, I would say 2 or 3 visits ago, where I have a good friend locally that is 100% against PPF. And you guys had been, I guess Brian flew you guys to Arizona for training, to really learn, and he had the guy down here had said that there's all these different problems with PPF, and it damages this and it damages that, and you guys both unanimously said that might have been the case 5 years ago, but the technology is so much better and different now than it was when it first started. Um, it seems to me like both of you guys really, really like the PPF. Um, for those that are in the audience that aren't doing PPF, talk to me about that. What is that?
It's paint protection film. It's not as common. Like, let me say, it's starting to become more common now than it has been in the past few years. I mean, it's existed for a while now, but the technology of it, the longevity of it, and I mean the looks are improving so much more, to the point where a lot of cars, even coming off of the factory floor, are starting to have more paint protection film added to them. I think when people think about the film, they think about in the early 2000s, when it was only part of the front bumper was wrapped, and it yellowed the day that they got it done, and it already started to peel up, and the adhesive was like sticking a piece of paper with Gorilla Glue on it, on the paint, and trying to tear it off. The adhesive is a lot softer now, but it also, I mean, most films now are warranted for 10 years, so it will stick to the panel for that long period of time.
Tim McLaughlin is asking a couple of questions, and I don't really know. Can you explain what is he talking about?
So Aztec is the brand that we normally use for our film. I would say that's most commonly used in our shop, but we do dabble in other brands. Like when we had first started doing film, we were getting film from a company called Flexi Shield, and that was the company we went to in Arizona. And then after a little while, we wanted to kind of work our way up higher in the tiers of the paint protection film industry. So we were playing around with Kavacha. We've used Legends. We've used Premium, which is now Lumar Films. And we've gotten other samples from companies like Optimum, and there are a lot of other companies out there, but those are just a few that we've used.
Yeah. Is that your favorite?
I would say Legend or Aztec is probably my favorite. They both are the ones that play a lot easier as far as stretching and adhesive power.
Now, you and I had talked also about like if and when I ever got that Titan, the levels of protection that we were going to put on it. Obviously, there's a system that you guys do. If you wanted to get all the bells and whistles and all the lights and you wanted to do it all the way to the top, what would be the order that you would put everything in? Like if you wanted, I want this thing to be a tank, go.
Well, I mean, naturally you would start with your basic wash, and then you do the prep for the film, which thankfully you don't need to use a polisher because most films will actually correct light marring. I think it's up to like if you wet sand with 15,000 or 1,500 grit sandpaper, I think it will self-correct to that extent.
Wow.
So you don't need to polish the film, or you don't need to polish the paint before you put the film on. So it's more of just a decon, clay, prep. Obviously, sometimes you do need to do a little bit of sanding and touch-up paint. So, I mean, there's no exposed primer or just metal. It also pushes up on the film. And then you would do your ceramic coating on top of that.
Okay. Wow. Wow, that was you don't have to polish it out like that up to 1,500 grit. That's incredible. And I also hear that it also has healing properties. Like it'll self heal if it gets dinged up and scratched.
To a certain extent. I mean, if it's a light mar, all you would have to do is just pull that out into the sun or use a heat gun just to kind of smooth it out. Those properties don't typically last for the whole warranty period, but they do last a good while from what I've seen.
What is a warranty on a PPF?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Good.
Just as long as you do proper maintenance and stuff like that, you can extend the extra properties that PPF offers, hydrophobic properties as well. So you never really you don't have to ceramic coat PPF, although you can. It always just depends on what finish you're looking for. If you want extra hydrophobic properties, like if you just want that water to sheet off almost immediately
Well, so
on contact.
I mean, everybody here that does ceramic coatings knows what what proper maintenance is every 6 months. Blah 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 blah. What is proper maintenance on a PPF?
It's about the same as your ceramic coatings.
What do you do? What is the maintenance on a PPF?
Your basic wash process, really.
You just
can
have to
carry
make
on.
sure You just have to make sure that you're not, you have to pay close attention to how close you are with the pressure washer, because you can end up damaging the film if you're too close. And if edges aren't, tucked all the way, it's just something else to keep in mind. What we usually extend edges so that we can tuck them. We don't have to worry about that. But for some of the installs, maybe some vehicles might not have that option, or you might not like doing that. So you have to pay extra attention to that, because then you can end up lifting those edges if you aren't careful. Um, which is why you always encourage like maintenances and stuff like that are done by the professionals instead of the owners.
Sure.
Because I do know that some of our customers they like to maintain their own vehicles, but when it comes to like PPF and stuff like that, yeah, it requires a little bit more know-how and research, and just got to be more careful.
Ryan Hansen, what are your thoughts on PPF on glass? To protect glass, I'm asking after replacing my second windshield in a year. Rock damage during the commute twice now.
It's definitely possible. It's something that you might want to keep in mind, that when you're putting PPF or anything on glass, you might have to calibrate the sensor, especially if you have like a sensor that's either like built into mirror. I think they have some manufacturers have like sensors um, that are used for radar guided cruise control. I know that like now a lot of manufacturers are uh, having those sensors installed either on the front of the vehicle somewhere, or the badge itself. But you do need to calibrate those sensors as well when PPF is installed sometimes, not most of the time.
You
Because
don't
it
have to
does
worry
mess
about
with
like
that.
optical distortions or crazy sun flare and glare and all that stuff when putting that kind of stuff on a windshield.
When you're adding anything onto glass, you got to expect that there's going to be different. They're like somewhat of a difference. But with PPF, there really isn't any. Um, so yeah, I mean, like you could definitely do PPF, especially like on a windshield. It's doable and definitely suggested, especially when you had to replace a windshield more than once. That is frustrating, and I
Will,
think like
will, will the PPF protect against rocks and stuff like that?
Yeah, it on paint at least, it can protect up to, if the rock is big enough or moving fast enough to go through the bumper, it will protect up to that.
Wow, craziness. All right, gentlemen. What do you guys like to do for fun when you're not doing 110 hours in the shop? I was doing a little cyber stalking on you fellas. One of you seems to really, really, really like family, is very family oriented and does a lot of family stuff. And the other one seems like he's doing a lot of like gym work and things of that nature. So what's going on? Junior,
go
go
for it.
ahead.
Okay, all right, I'll go first. Yeah, I typically go to the gym like after work whenever I do have the time. Unfortunately, I go to YMCA literally down the road from where I work. It's mostly just it's a convenience, but the place closes early as hell. So like I'm talking about like 9 or 10 o'clock, depending on like summer or winter hours are a little bit different. But try to run down there for about 2 or 3 hours, and I I go ham. I just go to the gym. I don't really have like any specific goals in mind. It's mostly to just stay fit, build a little bit of muscle, but I'm not trying to become Mr. Universe or anything like that. No. But yeah, it's definitely something that it's really healthy physically, but also mentally. Kind of keeps me busy in that aspect.
Okay. Mayall.
Well, typically I do a lot of car stuff on my free time.
Okay.
That's really what my life's about. But yes, I do enjoy spending a lot of time with my family and friends. I think it's important. especially for morale and stuff. So
You do a lot of, you guys, I think you both do a little bit of traveling, not too far, but I mean, usually when you have a couple of days together that you're off, you usually take off. Like, I think both of you guys have gone to Delaware beaches as of late, and um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
He goes to Delaware. He has family there, so he's typically going there. I go all over the place. I go to, Allentown, Philly, try to get out there and try to discover new things, museums in Philly, or cafes. Just like to explore and see what's out there. But yeah, I definitely love just driving and traveling. It's something I'm really trying to do more often, and I tried to do a lot this summer. I'm going to continue doing that, and
do you do it by yourself, or do you have do you go with groups, or like I personally sometimes I just love like driving out to your dad's shop is just under 2 hours for me from the warehouse. And I love it. It's a 2 hour road trip that I can just kind of space out, listen to audiobooks or music or whatever. On when the weather is perfect, the windows are down, and just like I love me a road trip. And sometimes being by yourself on that road trip is just kind of nice. But at the same time, if you have a good traveling partner, or a group of friends. Like I remember a bunch of, all of my friends, we'd all pile into, how many people can we fit into a car and then go. I think, we drove to Alabama once, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Alabama. Anyway, just so the love of the road. So, I mean, what do you prefer?
prefer going by myself, honestly. I think it's a lot more peaceful. I do go with friends every once in a while or with family, but most of the time it's just me. I mean, not only that, but like it is peaceful, but also, gives me more opportunities to go out and like meet new people, which, if I have like friends or family, I'm mostly just concerned about them, and we just have experience together. But when I'm traveling on my own, I get to meet new people, and yeah, it's pretty cool experience.
Um, so a little backstory. From what I understand, as far as your dad getting onto YouTube and making videos and stuff like that, um, your dad started doing videos because you wanted to make videos about gaming. Is that right? Was that you were trying to do some gaming videos?
Yeah, at first, yeah,
And
I got
well, it segues into the fact that I'm pretty positive you guys are both gamers. I like to play. I'm pretty positive both of you guys like to play. Mayall, you and I talked a little bit before the show started about some console games that you were playing. Um, like how much time, first of all, how much time do you guys get to play video games, and second of all, would you both consider yourself gamers?
um, as of lately, I don't get a whole lot of time to game, but I definitely do enjoy
Cheers, Rich.
sitting in front of the TV for hours on end playing Call of Duty or anything car related.
All right. And Junior, what do you gravitate towards?
uh sci-fi adventure. I'd say as of lately, I used to be hardcore into first-person shooters. Like for instance, Destiny. I used to be heavy on Destiny, which is like Bungie's
Yeah.
newish IP.
Yep,
But
my son plays it.
yeah,
Crazy
yeah,
amount of time that he has sunk into that game.
yeah. I put a lot of time into that game, and now that I think back on it, I don't really play so much anymore. But it I really don't know what drove me into it. I At first I thought it was just like the gameplay, but now that I think about it, I feel like it was just the atmosphere in the community that game had was just unlike anything else. I don't know, like you met like some really some awesome people there, especially like when they had something called raids, where It would be like 6-player co-op, extremely difficult mission. Like a bunch of puzzles and stuff like that, and you would have like a certain time period to do them, or everyone would just wipe, which is basically like everyone would get eliminated. But like, doing stuff like that, it like forge connections, of course, like in game, but you're able to just forge connections and make friends that way. And I think the community within Destiny is a mix between, finding really cool people and also very toxic people as well.
Well, sure. And I think that's pretty common in a lot of those MMORPG
Yeah.
types scenarios. Like I used to play World of Warcraft for, I mean, I was addicted to World of Warcraft, and I felt that Destiny was pretty much the same thing, which is why I was just like, I'm not getting into it, because it was, like basically the quests of go over here and kill 20 of these guys, and then go over here and collect 16 of these things, and go over there. And I was like, it's the same thing, and it's about community, and you're going to make friends, and and I didn't want any of that, so I just stayed away from it. But Jacob plays it constantly, or at least he used to. I don't know what he's doing these days. He got a girlfriend, so no more video games.
Yeah.
Speaking of girlfriends, Mayall, you've been in a relationship for a long time, it looks like.
Yeah, it would be 4 years.
4 years. Wow. Like all of high school.
Yeah,
Just
it's
about.
it's been a long ride.
Good.
Is special? Do you think the special lady's watching right now?
No, she is not. She is in New York.
Well, she's dead to me, so there.
No, I told her if she wasn't gonna watch it live, then I'm gonna make her watch it 3 times afterwards. So
Not once, not twice, 3 times. All right. Cool.
Pac-Man. Rick Smith. The last game that he played was Pac-Man. Wow.
Holy hell!
Yeah.
Oh my God. Was that like back when its initial release, or
16
Damn.
pixels?
That's crazy.
That's funny.
I mean, nothing beats the classics, honestly. I mean, I definitely.
There's no real easy way to segue from this, but as I was cyber stalking you, trying to find information to talk about, the love of your life, Mayall, she said that she had gotten you tickets to Logic and Wiz Khalifa, which was your favorite musician in the universe. And knowing the other side of the Bryans, knowing what kind of music they're into, I didn't even know who Wiz Khalifa was till I looked him up. And he's got a couple of songs that are pretty decent. I like that Peace and Love. That's a cool song. I enjoyed that. But not so much of the other things that I stumbled across. But
yeah,
for those of you that don't know, Wiz Khalifa, I believe, is a rapper. And the two other Bryans are crazy into heavy metal.
Yeah, different tastes for sure. They are like, we're in 2 different worlds. It's
how does
very
that
weird.
How does that happen in the workplace? Do you guys just live in earpods, or like, because I can't imagine there being too farther from the music spectrum than these two genres.
Full disclaimer, I'm not much into Wiz Khalifa. It was more so for Logic, and he's more hip hop based Eminem style.
I will have to look him up after. I have to look him up after the show.
He's more hip hop based, lyrical, but we don't really listen to music at the shop. We just put mind numbing stuff on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's gonna, we're not gonna get distracted from it, but ends up,
that causes a little bit of heat in the shop sometimes, because
the music or what senior normally has playing on the television. Because I got to be honest with you, that would make me just as crazy, and I even lean towards what he puts on, and I couldn't listen to it for 8 hours plus a day. I would put a gun in my mouth.
Well, no, Junior mainly takes control of the TV, and for him, it's the weird guys that yell and say sus things.
Right.
I put gamers on most of the time. I'm trying to think of one. Van Oss and the crew. I basically grew up watching them, and man, there's a couple of other ones, but yeah, it's I don't know, something about like just hearing chaos in the background. It's very peaceful for me, and I can actually work in peace, hearing all of that chaos ensuing. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's enough for me to just work in peace and not have to be distracted.
What would you say is your what would you say is your current favorite musician or band or whatever, and what would be your overall favorite, like currently and overall? Junior, go.
Okay, so currently I'm listening
Mozart, get out of
to
here.
Slipknot. Slipknot. I've been listening to Slipknot, but more so now than I have before. Five Finger Death Punch as well. I'm kind of going back and forth between the two. Um, and I would say like my favorite band of all time is definitely Linkin Park. It, I just gravitated towards the lyrics.
The
Yeah,
sadness,
that guy's just no does dubstep. Yeah,
the sadness, the depression, the
yeah, the sadness,
yeah,
the
I know
depression.
all
Yeah,
about
exactly.
Lincoln Park.
Yep, I was definitely a low
I'm telling you,
key
when I
emo
was
guy.
stalking you on Facebook, I just felt like I needed to give you a hug.
Yeah, yeah, definitely embrace the lyrics and stuff like that. Sadly, Chester passed away, so won't
Yeah.
be hearing anything new coming out of the band themselves. But I think Mike Shinoda's making his own stuff, so I kind of listen to him as well. But yeah, definitely my all-time favorite band, and I kind of just vibed with them more than anything else. Like I could just listen to their songs back to back, and it just never gets old. Not only that, but I like their style, the way that they kind of progressed into like their later albums. I kind of like their older stuff more, just because it was more edgy and harder. But then they kind of went into more like pop and added like more electronic element onto it. But it was still cool. It was cool to see the progression, and I think yeah, I kind of got into, I wouldn't say music production, but playing music and experimenting with music production. So I think a lot of what I do is influenced by Linkin Park and all the other bands, Slipknot, Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails is definitely by far one of the weirdest groups, but how they just mix all of these different sounds and instruments. It's and Apache mode too. Very weird symphonies, beats and stuff like that, but
Who got
very unique.
who into this death metal? Was it you got your dad into it, or did your dad kind of expose you to it?
Um, I think he was into rock, heavy rock, like Disturbed, but I think I took it
Because
to
just so
another
you know,
level.
anybody who's ever watched any
Yeah.
of his YouTube videos thinks that he's a James Taylor kind of guy. All I'm saying. Maybe if we're getting saucy, maybe a little Neil Diamond, but James Taylor is right up his alley. And when he came to the warehouse, I was like, "What do you want me to put on for you?" And he was like, "I don't know. You got any Tool?" I was like, "What? What? Who are you? And what have you done with Brian?" He was like, "No, I like Tool. I like that." And then he started telling me about all these the heavy metal concerts that you guys tour, like anywhere in the tri-state area. You guys will go to it. I'm like, that is nuts. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I would say that when it came to the harder stuff, I think I took it a step further and introduced it to him, and then he was really like he got into it, like he was just absorbed by it, just like I was, and we kind of like shared that. Um, I think Slipknot is pretty much how as hardcore as we'll go, as far as we'll go into the hardcore genre, but at least I think they are. But as for like Tool, yeah, he introduced me to Tool. He was always into that stuff. I think he's like a lyrical genius in a way. But yeah, like I just like the fact that he tries to include, every member of the band, and that's why his songs are so long. But you get like, the drummer, he gets his own part within the song, and just you get to hear the whole band instead of just like the singer. Most of the time, he's always the center. But with his band, usually you get to see all of them become the star in his tracks. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
What about you? We skipped you over a whole bunch of stuff. So, current favorite band or musician, artist, whatever, and overall favorite musician, artist, band, whatever.
Well, I can't really pick a current favorite. I would say to narrow it down, it would probably be Logic or J. Cole. But then overall,
I mean,
would
just
definitely
so you know,
say
you strike
Eminem.
me as a Swiftie. I honestly, I had you pegged for
Absolutely
a
not.
Swiftie.
Absolutely not.
He probably has a poster like in the
Could've-
section of the room that you can't see. Maybe.
Could have went and saw her in Philly, but got my way out of that one.
Oh man,
But-
you missed it.
It's definitely currently Logic and J. Cole, and then overall it's definitely Eminem because I just remember being a young lad sitting in the back of my mom's Ford Explorer listening to him talk about how the things that he would talk about on drugs. I probably shouldn't go further into that on this.
It's all right. It's all right. We're drinking apple juice. It's a family show. Brian Jr., Iced Earth. What is that?
I've honestly never heard of them, and you're probably gonna hate me for that, but I've never heard of them. I'll have to give them a look up, but I might enjoy their stuff. Have you heard of them? You
Nope.
look like you got okay.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm getting a response for calling you a Swiftie, which is really
It's too funny.
No, but well, I mean, the reason why I even said it, there was one, there was a picture on your Facebook. You went to a concert, and there was some girl. It was a girl concert. I don't know what it was, but you guys were really excited to be there, and I didn't know who she was. I had to look her up. Do you know?
Probably Sabrina Carpenter.
That's the one. I have no idea who she is.
Yeah, my
No.
girlfriend is very obsessed with her.
Well, first of all, Hawaii Tim, who doesn't like Vanilla Ice? I mean, seriously, God. All right, stop.
I don't.
Whatever. He's just because he's before your time.
Weirdo.
Anyway, at one point I should get my. I'm going to do my hair like his. Why not? Not like it is now, where he's pretending to be a rocker, but back in the day when he was white trash rapper. That's what I'm going for. What else do we have? Yeah. So who is this Potato NATO? Because he, she, it, they seem to be very intimate with what's going on in your shop. And I've been watching this person's comments from the beginning, and they know more about what's going on in your shop than a normal person would. So do you know who this is?
That might be our part-timer, Nate. He was excited to tune in and interact.
Yeah.
If that is him.
We could send him an invite if you want him to join. If you want him to join the party. Who is Nate?
Nate works at the shop part-time, 3 days out of the week. He comes in and he is a big help, especially on those long weeks where we have a lot to do. He's always there floating around, making sure that we're not behind or trying to alleviate some stress. He's
on a scale of 1 to Mongo, where would you put him?
Far away from Mongo as you could think. No, he's an excellent hand and help. He helps us with some of the stuff that we just cannot do we got our hands tied, or even with like the more important jobs. Honestly, he's a very young kid, but he's a lot more mature than a lot of adults that I know. So yeah, he's a really really awesome person, and I'm glad that we have him in the team.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. How many guys off and on, doesn't have to be, full time, part time, per diem. How many guys would you say do you have shuffling through there?
It's honestly just Nate at this point. Yeah.
Okay. I remember he had a couple of like younger guys that were, basically doing basic washes and stuff like that on the outside. I didn't know if that had yeah, see? Super Auto knows. Super Auto knows.
Yeah,
You
well,
guys,
now I
you
have
guys
that
missed
song
out on
on
some of the
loop.
best dumb music of all time.
It's stuck in my head right now. So thank you.
I want to know, what does "Word to Your Mother" mean? That's how he finishes that song, by the
Oh.
way. At the end of that song, "Word to your mother." Like, what? What does that even mean? Anyway.
No one knows.
Listen, I know who he is. I know the song. I don't know the.
All right.
know that.
So usually when I come up and we hang out, the first hour is usually spent eating. We usually do, we'll go to lunch or whatnot. Would you guys consider um "Word to your mother" means I am very, very serious?
There you go.
Oh, Keith, you are a genius. All right. Would you guys consider yourself to be foodies? Now, I know that you like to eat, but do you are you discriminate about what you eat, or do you just kind of you're like the Sarlacc pit and you'll just eat whatever falls close to you?
I eat anything other than hot dogs. That's the one food I won't do. But
How's that possible? You're from Pennsylvania. It's like a staple diet of all Pennsylvanians.
Yeah, this is the hot dog
No.
society here.
it's I don't find any joy in eating parts of the pig that you wouldn't eat normally.
Yeah, but it tastes
Stuffed in a
good. It's
condiment.
delicious. I don't
No.
care where it comes from. It's delicious.
No, I'm all right.
All right. I mean, okay. And what happens if you were to just kind of close your eyes and be like, "Oh, I'm just,
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
I can't.
Sheesh.
Oh, this is getting off the rails quickly. All right.
Yeah.
So you'll eat anything other than hot dogs, and Junior?
Yeah, like you said, Starlight Pit for sure.
All
Yeah.
right. So it doesn't really matter.
No.
I think the last time you and I broke bread, we had that Mexican place. It wasn't bad. It wasn't what I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was a local place in was it Warnersville? I think it was Warnersville. No, I think it was in Robzonia, I
Yeah.
believe. I forget what it's called, but yeah, it was not bad. Authentic, taco place,
For sure.
like that Taco Bell crap. Although, Taco Bell, locals tacos and stuff, it can hit the spot sometimes. But yeah, no,
if I'm leaving here at 11 p.m., Taco Bell just fits just fine.
hey,
And you have enough
I'm
apple
good with
juice. It doesn't matter what it is.
it. Yeah.
They got those new
Totally.
chicken taquitos, which are delicious. I had that last night. Anyway,
Grilled cheese burrito from Taco Bell.
what is it?
God.
Grilled cheese burrito.
It is
I don't know
delicious.
if they have it anymore.
It's fantastic. Now those new dippers, not a fan, because it just tastes like. I wasn't a fan. The grilled cheese dippers or whatever, they're like basically, it's like a soft taco with that cheese on the outside, and then apparently you dip it. It was okay. It doesn't matter, Mark. It doesn't matter. Anyway. All right. What else
We
you
on
got?
page
What else
4
you
at
got
this
for me?
point.
What's your favorite concert that you've been to ever?
Logic.
You don't count. You're biased.
Would other than that, it's all been Sabrina Carpenter and
Swifty stuff. I know.
yeah, no, Logic.
Do you go to Swifty parties?
No,
You sure?
I am.
If the love
Positive.
of your life wanted to go to a Swifty party, would you go?
Depends on how far it
No,
is.
the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
I'd probably
You've
be
been in
the
a
one
relationship
driving.
long enough. You're going.
Yeah, you're probably
hey,
right.
apparently you got a fan, bud. So
Yep.
if things ever go south with your girlfriend, check out Johnny.
There you
That's my best friend.
Oh. Your backup career. Junior, what about you?
Tool. We went to a Tool concert back, I think it was 2 summers ago. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of their band at that point in time. I didn't listen to them all that often. I knew about them, but I don't know, something about them just wasn't crazy. But when we went to go see them live, it was unlike any concert I've ever been to. I don't know if it was like the acoustics or what, but you could just like the guitar, the drums, like everything was so like crazy, powerful, and just blowing your face and everything. Like, it was just like insane. The audience themselves were pretty crazy too. It was just like a hell of a concert. I don't know. You can feel, the love from the audience, and yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when I go to a concert, I don't get like bored, but I'll become like kind of tired of, after maybe 4 or 5 songs, just completely exhausted from it. But with Tool, for some reason, like, it was just like energetic. You just like feel the energy and you want to listen to more. I think they went through about 8 to 10 songs. It was a pretty damn long concert, but it was quite the experience.
Keith wants to know if you play keyboard.
Yeah, I do. Funny enough, I actually don't know. Like, I learned by ear, by listening to notes, but I couldn't actually tell you like what the keys are on a keyboard at all. So I learned in a very unorthodox way, but I do play, and I sort of make beats and produce music, but not quite to level where actually I would call myself a artist or anything like that.
Okay. We're kind of bouncing all around the place. I hope you don't mind keeping up with the crowd. Okay, so
Is someone's mic going haywire? You hear that clicking?
I do hear the crackling. Is it me? I'm gonna.
No, I think it's Mayall's.
Yeah,
I just muted mine. So, okay. So Ryan recommended this movie to me today that I had to watch, and since I was filling bottles, I had time to watch a movie while filling bottles and labeling bottles because it's pretty mindless. The movie is called Maggie. It came out in 2015, and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. And surprisingly, what is a very, very stoic role for him. There were no one-liners. There was nothing gimmicky about it. It was, and the problem for me about the movie, it's not that it fell flat. And Ryan, you certainly don't suck at life. You have one of the most interesting life stories that I've ever come across, and I'm glad that we're friends. But anyway, it's a hard movie I'm not going to give anything away about it, even though it came out in 2015, and I believe that there's like at least a 3-year shelf life. Like, you can talk spoilers if a movie's been out for 3 years. Sorry, that's just how I feel about it. You haven't gotten around to see a movie in 3 years. Just so you know, Bruce Willis is dead at the end of Sixth Sense. Suck it, world. Anyway, the point of the story is that it's a hard movie to watch because of the emotion that you get tied up into it. And I just, with so much going on in your lives all the time, it's hard for me to watch movies that really try to pull a lot of emotion out of someone. I mean, I will cry at a movie, at a Hallmark commercial. I don't know if you remember. It was oh, this is way before either of your times, but basically it was a bunch of like World War II veterans, and like they sent each other Hallmark cards, just kind of like, hey, thinking about you, and they kind of reflect upon their lives growing up as young men, and then going to World War II and surviving and all that stuff. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't watch this. There's too much emotion. So the movie is if you can get past all of the weird sci-fi stuff that goes on in the movie, the underlying emotion that goes on there, it's a lot. And so I was just kind of like, I had to kind of check out in order to really get through the movie, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, there are movies that I do want to watch that I know are going to wreck me. There's a movie called Taking Chance. Anybody that knows me, have a very long military family history. My brother, obviously, everybody knows Trainwreck. Taking Chance is it stars Kevin Bacon, and basically he is tasked with the job of taking Chance, who was a Marine who was killed in combat, and escorting the body all the way home from overseas to the final resting point at his family's house, like at the hometown of this person. And I just remember crying from the beginning all the way to the end. I just did, because you connect too much to it. There's too much emotional connection, and you can very easily put yourself in that person's shoes. And when you put yourself in that person's shoes, then for me, the wheels come off the wagon. So anyway, who is Lucid Lime, and why does he love you so much?
He's another one of my friends.
All right, well, tell your friends we're glad that they're here, unlike your girlfriend who is dead to me. Yeah, I would say everybody that is new in the, like, I don't recognize Taylor Coldren, Toe Kraken. Is he a friend of yours?
That is Johnny's wife.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out. That's awesome, dude, that you guys got that so much support, and I appreciate them supporting you as well as supporting me for being here. All right, yeah, I'm going to have to pour me an apple juice now. That's exactly right. That's the only way to really get through one of those movies is, well, at least it's not me. Anyway, what is your favorite? Mayall, what would be your favorite movie right now?
Oh, shoot. Does that have to be current?
All right, let's talk about hot dogs again, shall we?
No.
Is it just hot dogs, or is it anything phallic like? I mean, Papa Smurf wanted to know about hot links. Is that off the table as well, or?
No, that's good.
Okay. So there you go. He's up for hot links, but not.
Just wondering. Because I mean, sausages are good, right? You like sausage?
Yeah.
Bet you do.
Yep.
All right, back to the. Yep, Tim, it's officially the wheels have fallen off the wagon. What would you say? All right, so your all-time favorite movie of all time.
I mean, I'm not really big on movies. Probably.
Yeah.
The Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Series.
I was going to say probably Fast and Furious, since it's all cars all the time. Probably a big
Yeah.
fan of Gone in 60 Seconds.
Or just Cars, like the Pixar film.
Yeah, Smokey and the Bandits.
You got Shaboom playing on repeat.
Oh, that is really, really funny. Taylor is yeah. What about you there, Junior?
I think I would say John Carpenter's The Thing.
What's that?
The Thing. You've never heard of The Thing?
You mean like the original
Yeah.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, that
John
that is
Carpenter's The
probably my
Thing? Are you
all-time
kidding me?
favorite movie by far. If it's not that, then it's Big Trouble Little China.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a big Kurt Russell guy.
Yeah, honestly. Well, he was really big in the 80s, wasn't he? So
yeah, he was.
um
Overboard. That's a fantastic movie.
yeah, exactly. And he's still relevant today.
What's that?
He's still relevant today.
100%. I think
still,
Quentin Tarantino really kind of gave him an injection in the arm, and it was funny listening to the interviews that he was having with Kurt was basically like, I wanted to bring that Big Trouble in Little China guy back, and that's why he made what was it, Death Proof. He wanted that guy in Death Proof. Yeah, which was, I thought, fantastic. And then what was it, The Hateful Eight? Right?
The Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
Again, another Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, he's definitely.
I got no problem with it.
No, I think the reason why I liked things so much definitely is.
Dude, I totally called it. I totally nailed that. 3-pointer.
But yeah, I think the reason why I like The Thing so much is because I think it was like ahead of its time. The effects, the prosthetics, and everything, and how the thing moved.
Sure, and I think really also you had that you got to experience a new idea, and that was one of the, you know what I mean. Like nowadays, everything is either a replica or a restart or a reboot, but there are no original ideas. And that was horrible. But Ryan Hansen, who's in the comment section, we talk about like 80s music or movies all the time. He was just currently watching the Aliens trilogy. 1 and 2, absolute gold. And
then it fell off the rails after that.
Yeah, Resurrection and all that other silliness. And then I think the one where the alien was turning into a cat and all that weird stuff. It's just like, come on now.
Yeah.
And it was your dad. It was your dad who taught me or showed me the connection between Blade Runner and Aliens. That blew my mind. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're man, I forget. I think it was like Wayland Industries. And
the replicas. The replicas that he was building in Blade Runner were the replicas being used on the spaceship.
Right. Yeah.
Same company.
Pretty wild. Very
wild. Mario's in the house. Yeah, man. All right, so we are approaching the hour and a half mark. Usually we try to give away something throughout the day. Since there's 2 of you, we should probably do 2 different trivia questions. I'm not sure. You want to give away 2 things?
For sure.
Sure.
All right. So out of what do you want to do? Titan or Hydra? Or we could even do Apex Soap. Your choice. Dealer's choice.
Apex Soap.
Johnny, you're about to get banned, just so you know. You're about to get kicked out of the group. Johnny Morales. Tim says Titan. What do you think?
Yeah, Titan. We could go for Titan.
All right.
If they ask for Titan, we shall give.
Okay, so the first question, first person to answer correctly will get a bottle of Titan. The question is, what year did Mayall start working for Apex Auto Detailing? 3, 2, 1, go. Don't everybody answer at once. 21. Keith Firebird, you win again. Dude wins everything.
He pays attention.
Does he easily wins every time. All right, Keith Firebird, you get another bottle of Titan. He's got a lifetime supply of Titan because he wins every question. Boom, boom, boom. And then for you, Junior, we should make it a little bit harder. Is it too? How do I contact you without talking? All right. Mayall, talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
You're supposed to talk. When you're the only guy on stage, you're supposed to talk.
Well, what am I?
Talk about anything
what
you
am I
want.
supposed
Talk
to
about
talk
Taylor
about?
Swift and your love for her.
No Taylor Swift. Read some of the comments.
You are terrible at this. I want you to know that.
I'm reading some of the comments. All the way to the top.
Do you know what dead air is? Because that's all you're giving me. You're giving me
I'm
nothing but
looking
dead air. Just talk
I'm
about
looking
whatever.
for the comments. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. Fave toppings on a burger. I was gonna answer a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Just Big Mac toppings.
Big Mac toppings.
Yep.
2 all beef patties,
Big Mac
special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. You know what? That would have been a great thing for you to talk about. Just so you know.
Yeah.
You had all that time. This could have been your show.
I couldn't
Winners
think
want
of
the ball, is all I'm saying. Winners want the ball. You spent all that time driving down, having that car towed to your house. You rebuilt the engine. You did all of that stuff and nothing.
Well, I have 2 of them, so
You have 2 of them?
yeah, I have 2 cars. The one that I drive every day, and then the one that I did that to.
Well, tell us about the one that you did that to.
Well, saw a Facebook Marketplace listing for a '95 Miata. I bought that with a blown head gasket and a whole rat's nest of other problems. Johnny Morales and I brought it back to my house. 12 hours after I owned the car, I had the motor torn down to the pistons, and we did the head gasket, put it back together. It was leaking oil out of the main seal, so I had it rebuilt, and now it sits in a storage unit because it doesn't run. And then I have a WRX that has WRX problems.
Yeah. How close are you to getting that thing going?
I don't know. I got a bunch of parts for the WRX, so I'm gonna put those on, get it dyno tuned, and then I'm just gonna send the Miata somewhere because I don't feel like dealing with it anymore.
Wow. It's got to be a little heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I'm just over it. I'm just over it. It did not live up to the hype. I'm just over it. All right. So, Junior, the question for you is, what was the name of the town that you and your dad first started detailing in? Where was the shop? What town was the shop located in that you and your dad first started detailing it? This is for Hydra. That's why it's a harder question. Just so you know, this is a legally binding contract if you want it. He just said it. You can have it. He's giving you a car. Legally binding. He wrote it down. It's in writing in front of a total of probably 6 people. You can have his car.
No, he just said that because he lost to a 2020 GLI today in a car show, and it was stock.
Oh.
How does that make any sense?
No, we need a town, Keith. You can't win twice, first of all. And second of all, we need a town, Lucid Lime, not a state. Oh, the United States, I win. Ha ha ha. No, I said I need the town that your shop was
The
first
Earth.
The Earth.
Yeah.
Milky Way
The
galaxy.
Milky Way. I win. Sinking spring. Close, but no. Page 4. And now for the rest of the story. Probably 2 people in this room got that reference. West Wyomissing. I don't believe that is correct either. Hydra for all. Thank you. Dan, I agree. Poda something. Poda something. That doesn't even make sense. That's right. Paul Harvey was great. He was the GOAT, if you ask me. Warnersville, also incorrect. Man, you guys are like throwing darts all around, but not hitting it. Trump
No, honestly, whoever
Oh,
answered,
boy, here comes the needle.
whoever said
Pottstown.
Warnersville is pretty much correct.
No, Warnersville is where you're at
It
now.
wasn't
Distinct
but
different towns.
well, yeah, that it's considered Warnersville though.
No,
it's not. I've seen the
No,
sign.
not
Welcome
where we
to
are
blank.
now, but
Welcome to
when we first
Warnersville.
started, because that was a question, right? Where we first started, right? I know I
Right.
gave you
he
a
said the
different answer.
shop. He said
Yeah,
the
it's in the
shop.
shop. Where was the shop
So-
that you first started?
Okay.
What
Does
town
it
was
count?
the shop that you first started detailing in?
Okay. Does we started in someone else's shop? Does that count?
Yes.
Then there you
Sure.
go. Whoever answered
that's-
Warnersville got it. There you go.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You are the worst. You even texted me the name of the town.
I thought you
Oh.
meant like just like it had to be our shop.
I'm giving it to Taylor. Taylor wins. I don't care. I don't care what you said.
Yeah.
This is the name of the town that you texted me. That's the winner.
Okay.
Just
I mean,
making
technically
stuff
it's
up.
correct,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you were talking about like where we first started, even if it wasn't our shop.
And I did get a text from my girlfriend's aunt who also did guess it right, but it rolled in at the same time
Dang.
as Taylor's comment. So
I don't see
sorry,
it.
Michelle.
Where did
No, she couldn't figure out how to comment, so she texted me the answer.
Oh.
So now what? Now what
So
happens?
now I'm giving it to Taylor because you're a cheater and a liar, and you said Wagonia. It's in text. What you sent me you gave me the name.
I don't know. Whoever answered
Oh my
Warnersville
gosh.
or whoever gave that answer, honestly, you're the winner in my book.
All right, you know what? No one ever accused me of being a cheater, so I'll send out 2.
Sweet. There you go.
Potato NATO and Taylor both get a bottle of
Hey.
Hydra. However, they're gonna have to pick it up at your shop because I'm not mailing it to them. And since you're both friends with them, you can give it to them personally.
Cool.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Are we crossed? All right. So Potato NATO and Taylor Coldren. Congratulations on your win of the Hydra. Junior, you're the worst. Seriously. You know,
No, you should be thanking me.
You're out. You're out. You're dropped from the show. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I should be thanking you. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you should be thanking me. Now you have 2 happy people instead of just 1. Getting stuff. There you go.
I'm ecstatic
about Papa,
stuff.
I'm going to take this as an opportunity to run my own show. Papa's asking me what mods are done to the WRX. So right now I have a catback NVIDIA. I think it's the R400. I think it has 3 resonators and it's a dual muffler exit. I also have a cold air intake and a Cobb anxiety port, what every Subaru owner ever does. And because it's a 16, I just got unequal length headers because those have equal length headers and a catless downpipe, so everybody in my neighborhood can hate me. And then I need to get it tuned after I put that on. I also have a full STI transmission swap because the day I signed the title on that car, my first gear synchronizer just went, but now it's back, so I haven't put it in yet.
Cool. I have no idea anything you just said. It was 100%. It was Latin, and I'm just like, all right, cool. Yeah, I got that. You know, come on, fellas. It's all ball bearings now. Anybody get that reference? I'll give you a bottle of Kraken. Go with HP tuners.
I was thinking, well, there's a dyno tune place in Westchester. I think it's called Fast, but I'll definitely look into HP tuners too.
Ryan, I knew you would get it. I knew you would get it. What does that mean?
It's a fart can reference. All Japanese cars have fart cans on them.
What is that?
Like the exhaust sounds like a fart.
All right. Make it a bottle of apple juice. I can't ship that across. I can't ship it. I don't think I'm allowed to ship alcohol. Johnny. And you didn't even win, man. Your boy screwed you.
His wife won.
Makes them sound like a lawnmower about to die. You really want that on your car?
No. I don't know. My Miata sounds like that. It's got a header dump. I don't have an exhaust. So I got one car that when it would run sounds like a fart can. That's good enough for me.
All right. Well, that's all the news that I got for today. I've gone through my list. I have some homework to do. I have to figure out who Logic is and what does he sing. Other than that, any last questions from Kiss Me, Brian? What is going on around here? Every time I listen to Curmudgeon's Corner, it's filled with boy humor. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, get yourself a Hellcat, then we can talk shop. Oh. Well, I mean, working at Apex Auto Detailing, that's not out of the realm. I mean, Lamborghinis are being bought, Jaguars are being bought and sold, Beamers are being bought and sold, Mercedes bought and sold. It's whatever it is. Any given whim, we're buying it. You, Junior, what did you buy? You bought a Camaro or something?
Yeah, I had a 2017 Camaro, SS Camaro. It was just one SS. It didn't really have anything on it. It was stock. I didn't really do any mods or anything like that. But yeah, it just had that V8 in it, LS motor, and 450 horsepower and torque. So, but since it's a big boat, it's quick. It's not all that fast. Maybe if I slapped a supercharger in there and did a little bit of extra mods to compensate for the extra power going in, and actually like properly built it, it probably would have made it into a decent beast. Still a boat, but yeah, it was by far one of my favorite cars that I had. But it was a little too pricey for me to keep. It was more of like an impulse buy, but I still had some awesome memories with that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, lived it.
So what's the dream car? What, like, you're working there 5 more years, you have a bankroll that you can't even put the money in your pocket. It's so big. What are you buying?
That's a heavy question.
I'm pretty sure there's like 50,000 cars that come to mind, or at least like 3 or 4. I would assume for him it would be either like a Nissan Z, or if money was just limitless. Oh man, yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. You don't like
No,
what was the first thing
I'm
that
just
popped
guessing
in
for
your
him.
mind?
For me,
Yeah.
it would be a man. Yeah, there's a lot of cars that come to mind. I already had a Camaro, but before I had it, it was a ZL1 Camaro. Something about it, like I just think that for the money, you're getting a lot of car. So it would be like something that's obtainable to some degree, to get something that absolutely slays on a track. But with all the electric cars and all of that, and I don't really know if it's up there in the top 10 quickest sports cars that you can get. I mean, obviously within like its category, but yeah, that thing is a track slayer. But without having to spend a bunch of money, ZL1, 1LE Camaro for sure, like a 2020, 2019. I didn't care for the. Actually, no, 2018. I don't care for the generations newer than that because I think they got like a face redesign and it looked ugly as hell. So, but yeah, that would be my dream car. And if money wasn't, or it was limitless, I would probably go for a Koenigsegg.
What about you, Mayall?
I mean, if I were to tell my 13-year-old self I'd already have my dream cars, a WX and a Miata. But I guess if it's something that's like not really attainable, it would probably be it's pretty basic, but I mean an imported R34 Skyline would probably be top tier. Or an FDRX7 with a rotary in it.
All right.
Make cool.
I'd probably go with an El Camino, something that says, stylish, but I can help move if you need me to. Just kidding. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps us up for Curmudgeon's Corner 15. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. Not quite, but we're almost there. Things seem to be naturally running down. Any last questions for our 2 superstars that are the actual moving parts of Apex Surface Protection? We all know who does the heavy lifting here. I mean, there is the face in front of the camera, and then there is the power lifters behind the camera. So why are they not drinking? Well, one of them isn't allowed to, there, Papa, and the other one apparently is a teetotaler because, just because he's taking care of his body. His body is a temple, and he has to keep it in shape. When he's looking at himself in the mirror,
A very
taking that
flabby
picture
temple.
at the gym.
Taking his selfies.
Yep.
And
Gotta
apparently
take care of
Brian
this
has to get on
bad
Call of
body.
Duty, so he's past his time.
All right.
The Eagle Talon, the equivalent to the GSX. I don't know what any of that means. I'm definitely not a car guy. I'm Walking Gaming. I invited you to the party chat. Apparently you got to go, Mayall. Apparently they don't respect this program enough for you to be pulled away from Call of Duty or whatever it is. So on that note, we're probably going to drop out. I appreciate everybody for taking time out of their Saturday to come out, have some apple juice, and get to know these guys. Where can they find you, Brian Jr.? If they wanted to reach out to you or follow you on Instagram or Facebook, where can they find you?
Facebook, you can just look me up, Brian Spitler, Brian Spitler. You'll either get my dad or me, but we kind of have like the same name on Facebook.
If you get his dad, it'll be the actual logo of the company. If you get him, it'll be him flexing in a gym mirror somewhere, with ginormous headphones on. That's how I found him.
Squinting his eyes,
serious look on his face, very pensive.
No,
I wonder what the world means. I don't.
At that point, I'm just like totally exhausted trying to get out of the gym at that point. But I have to take that selfie first.
Okay.
But Instagram, Lost in Digital Space, and there's a underscore in between each word.
Okay.
Reach me there, and yeah, that's it. It's usually what I use. I don't really use Twitter or X platform. So yeah, that's best way to contact me.
Lucid Lime wants to know what your gym routine. He also said, or they said that milk is better, and the only way that I would concur with that, if it's in like a White Russian. So if you're telling me that milk is better than apple juice, you're drunk already. Anyway, Mayall, leave your dog alone and tell us where they can find you.
She was looking at me. I'm on Instagram. It's stealth_builds. It's just pictures of my cars. Trying to resurrect that account.
Okay.
And then Facebook is just Brian Mayall. You also might find my dad because I am also a junior, but you just look for me.
An adorable profile pic.
3 Brian, 2 juniors. Oh my gosh. How do you guys if something happens in the shop, do you guys have nicknames for each other, or do you just be like Brian and all 3 of you pop up like groundhogs?
Well, typically if it's an angry Brian, Brian's calling for Junior.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's just better that we all kind of just meet. But yeah, it is very interesting, especially when a customer comes in and they know that my dad's name is Brian, but then someone's like yelling out for
I want to talk to Brian. You are talking to Brian. No, I want to talk to Brian. You are talking to Brian.
It's whoever gets to the office first, honestly.
All right.
I am you.
All right, fellas. Well, I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. I enjoyed this one a lot. So we're going to have to do it again soon.
Heck yeah. I'm up for it anytime.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. If you guys want to hang on 2 seconds after I drop the show, we can do a post game. Everybody, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you guys. Keith, Firebird, Detail, all you guys. You've always been super supportive. And I so appreciate you guys taking care of the Phoenix family and being a part of it. It means everything. And as always, couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for coming out and for watching. And hopefully you get to know the behind the scenes guys a little bit more. Everybody have a safe and happy weekend. And I will see you at the next Curmudgeon's Corner. Thanks, everybody.